All right. Happy July 5th, everyone. My name is Lynn Pender. I'm one of the founding members of Baltimore Green Justice Workers Cooperative. Want to welcome you. Today is July 5th, the United Nations International Day of the Cooperative, also called Co-ops Day 2025. And I'm so excited you all have decided to join us. Originally, we were going to do like a cookout and some other things, but how many of you know that life just be lifing sometimes, and no matter how much we want to plan and we have a good heart and want to do things, sometimes our schedules just don't allow us to do it. So we wanted to still honor the fact that it is Co-ops Day 2025 and still have a meaningful space and place for us to gather and share and connect. But we wanted to do it with a little less kind of work that it would entail to pull together an in-person event. So I just want to thank each and every one of you for showing up today, for showing up for yourself, for showing up for others who are here, and for those who will watch later on, right? And so I want to go ahead. I know some of you have been sharing in the chat box, and I'm really excited for that. But I want to go ahead and open it up. If you are not shy and you're willing to turn your camera on, and don't feel any pressure if you don't want to turn your camera on. There's no problem at all. But if you do, I want to see your lovely face. Come on and join us. And we're going to open up the floor. Hey, Mary. We're going to open up the floor and allow for you all to introduce yourselves. Tell us a little bit about who you are. If you're already operating in the co-op space, what does that look like for you? Where are you located? If you're not operating in the co-op space, what attracted you to this conversation today? I'll go ahead and start us off. So this has been a 2-year journey for myself and others who are part of Baltimore Green Justice Workers Cooperative. We are celebrating our, we turned 2 officially, I think, in December of, December of 2024. But the state of Maryland, because we didn't file our articles of incorporation until May, we didn't officially turn 2 in the state of Maryland until May of 2025. We are not a co-op per se yet. We operate as a nonprofit. We have our 501c3 status. Our long-term goal is to launch a for-profit co-op, which will be separate from BGJWC. It will actually run as BGJW Co-op. And myself, the other co-founder, Kimberly Armstrong, many of our board members over these last 2 years have been really entrenched in getting the training and support and trying to raise the resources for us to actually do that launch. And so we were blessed to be able to participate, some of us, in the Black Co-oponomics Academy, sponsored by Network for Developing Conscious Communities. I also participated in the 12-week Baltimore Roundtable for Economic Development, the BREAD Academy. We've had the opportunity to attend various national cooperator conferences, as well as participate with the National Association of Black Cooperators to really get a grounding, right, on what it means to be a co-op and all of the different structures and ways to form a co-op. And so we are constantly trying to be in spaces and also to create spaces where we could continue having these sorts of conversations. From our participation in the Black Co-oponomics Academy, we were fortunate to work with some other Black cooperators here in Baltimore to create and launch the Black Co-op Study Circle. And so I'm very, very interesting because I see a lot of names that I don't know. And so I'm really excited, to connect with folks. I see some names that I do know. So I want to go ahead and open the floor and just give you a couple of minutes to just kind of check in. Again, tell us who you are, your location. If you're part of a co-op community, talk a little bit about that co-op community. If you're just interested and you're a newbie in the space, talk about what has inspired you to go this journey. So, Mary, since you turned your camera on, I'm going to popcorn it to you.
Oh, okay. Hello, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. My name is Mary Elizabeth Backus. I am the founder and inventor of DigiDigital LLC, which is seeking to offer digital display graduation caps and digital display supporter buttons that will show the same images as the graduation cap, and be controlled from the customer's phone. So basically, it would be a display that you adhere to your graduation cap so you can control the decorations, what your favorite quote or Bible verse or your favorite childhood picture. You can display those images at graduation, and then your graduation supporters can have those same images displayed in the stands. So it's like a experience for everybody who's attending graduation. But that's our primary focus right now is graduation, but the displays will be multiple usage. So you can wear the supporter button to a Drake concert or a Kendrick Lamar concert or uh uh a conference about your political views, whoever you align with, baby showers, family reunions, so that it's not just one use. And then we also have a social impact where we would like part of the revenue generated to go towards underserved communities, so students who don't have access to education can get a scholarship to go to school. And I am not a part of a cooperative. I'm just trying to gain knowledge. My goal is to have Digital be a cooperative because I can't do this alone. And I would want the workers and people who have, put in work to be able to benefit from all that Digital offers. I hope that made sense.
Indeed. Yes, yes, yes. And Mary, can you popcorn it to somebody? Just find a name and
Bridget.
Good afternoon. I was like, is it morning? No, it's good afternoon. My name is Bridget. I'm in Baltimore, Maryland, Piscataway land. I am a creative and have a creative consultancy and incubation space called O2 Dream. So our purpose is twofold: to support the creative process of artists, so that new work can be created, and then also looking at the holistic health of artists, and we do that through mutual aid or just sharing resources among that. And some of the consulting projects that we had, um, there was conversations around like what does co-op structure look for, particularly in artistic spaces. And so we got really interested in that about, the beginning of 2024. And so really trying to figure out what that looks like for us to be able to transition into a cooperative structure or, right now we're in a partnership, but being able to add a co-op structure or transition the LLC partnership into a co-op structure. So looking for just like best practices for that, um, and just following that. So whatever resources are available to us to like really figure that out, but like shared space for artists to have a livable wage, I think is what is gearing us toward this and gearing us toward that. And I think for artists, particularly Black artists, to have entities that allow for shared ownership and advocacy, I think is the best way forward, particularly towards Black liberation. So, yep, that's where we are. We're doing different things. We have a Sunday dinner series that we do. We pay artists, and we're also addressing like food access for artists. So, We partner with local farms to be able to source the ingredients and provide food. So also looking for resources to continue that work, so that we can continue to support artists in that way. But looking forward to the conversation and resources to be shared today. And I will popcorn it over to Scott.
Hey, I'm Scott. Lynn, nice to see you. I I'm interested in, I live in Baltimore and I'm interested in, helping push forward progress towards obviously Black liberation and through, in part through cooperatives and, work cooperatives and I work at UMD and so at the University of Maryland in College Park in entrepreneurship and entrepreneurship support. So I see a lot of the resources that are available just being in the role I do. And so I, try to bring those resources and at least, help people get access to those resources. Um, because it's amazing. I mean, an institution like UMD has so much to offer, whether it's like, I mean, there's ways to, get students to help with from their capstone courses, right? There's all kinds of different opportunities to work with students like random grant opportunities and things. And um, so I think on a co-op level, I'm working with a friend to hopefully at some point start a cooperative farm somewhere around Baltimore. Hopefully a 10-acre farm. It'd be kind of big. So, but the idea being there, can we grow, large amounts of food in a affordable way? No pesticides, no fertilizer, just using ecology and like natural fertilizers, if you will. So pretty excited about that. I will pass it to Andrea.
Hello, how are you all? My name is Andrea. I am the educational arm we're a founder of a new co-op in Philadelphia called Narife Roots Collective, and I am the education arm. Our collective is focused on five pillars: education, entrepreneurship, wellness, nourishment, and ownership. And we just completed the Co-opinomics University, and we went to Atlanta for the meeting. It was great, great information. And again, Philadelphia and Baltimore, I feel like we have a lot in common as far as our culture, our people, our history, and we just have a natural affinity. So we've also worked in the Baltimore, DC area. But again, we're just looking to what our co-op is a hub, more or less. So while we develop trainings for, whether it's farming, whether it's gardening, whether it's, for education of elementary through adulthood. But our goal is to train up future co-ops, train up students to think in a cooperative manner, and also to be a hub and kind of connect all the different cooperatives, community gardens, especially the East Coast, and connect them up so we all know where we're located and what we're all doing. So that's one of our big focuses, just to find out, because when we went to our meeting, we met co-ops from all around the United States. Nobody knew of each other until we got there. So we're working on creating a way, like even if it's just mapping, a map where you can just link in and get a feel for, see what's going on in DC, what's going on in Baltimore, and see, because we can share resources like it seems like you all are focused on. Let's see. Is that everyone? Oh, Hyacinth. I'll popcorn it to Hyacinth.
Yep, I'm the last one. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. And Scott, nice to meet you. We just actually completed a capstone project at the University of Maryland H program, and it was absolutely amazing working with the students there. So that was a great experience. So I am Hyacinth. I am the owner of the Laundry Basket, and I'm one of the co-owners of the Laundry Basket Institute, which is our cooperative arm. And with the Laundry Basket, we're like a platform that provides full service on-demand laundry, dry cleaning, and alteration services. And the Laundry Basket Institute is our workforce development arm. So being going behind the scenes of the industry, we looked at some of, I guess we'll say, the ills that are behind the scenes, and we want to make a difference in that. And so the first thing is wage sustainability when it comes to individuals in the hospitality industry, and then making sure that they have avenues and ways to do more so that they have I'm sorry, opportunities for advancement. So those are the two things that we tackle at the Laundry Basket Institute. We also are a registered apprentice program for the state of Maryland. So we're the first and only apprentice program when it comes to laundry and dry cleaning. So we kind of put that all together underneath our cooperative. It is for people at the time, and we're just growing it. We just started in January of this year, so we're still learning. But the process was interesting. But here we are. So nice to meet everyone.
Amazing. Wow. Who knew all of this was happening, right? Locally. This is great. Congratulations, everybody. Wow, this is amazing. And this is exactly why we want to have these types of spaces and conversations so that we can stay connected. Oh my goodness. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen just to look at the agenda. And we've done, let me see if I can share this here. We've pretty much done the introductions. I want to take a step back and just go over a quick agreement and just in terms of us moving forward for the rest of the conversation. And then we'll jump right into the resource sharing and then any announcements that you all want to share. So let me stop sharing for 1 minute. And this is a set of general kind of group agreements that BGJWC uses internally that we borrowed from one of our facilitators at the Black Co-opinomics Academy, who often builds off of this, as well as National Association of Black Cooperators. But our group agreements for us in terms of sharing today and connecting today, one, we move at the speed of trust. Intent does not negate impact, right? The Umoja principle, unity in action. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. The fact that we are respecting each other's time. So we either move up or move back as it is appropriate for us moving forward in the conversation today. Because we are virtual and the conversation may get excited, we're going to ask that we all raise our hands just to be acknowledged to speak, to kind of help to make sure that everyone has an opportunity to share. And for those of us who are a little more talkative than others, that we kind of step aside sometimes to allow those that may not be um, as as vocal to have an opportunity to share. And then the bigger purpose. We are here for a bigger purpose, so let us live up to our commitment. And so I just want to kind of open the floor if there are any other group agreements that people feel that we should incorporate as part of this conversation today. You can feel free to share or type in the chat box. So can I get a yes or a no? Y'all, I'm a church girl. Y'all got to talk to me, a amen, a hallelujah, something. You got to let me know.
Everything you stated sounds great.
Yeah, these
Okay.
are good. Yeah.
All right. And then I see something in the chat comment. Everything is good. All right. I got an amen. I got a thumbs up. All right. All right. All right. And before I kind of start, we kind of, two of us kind of mentioned a great resource, and that's and I'll go ahead and start with them. That's Network for Developing Conscious Communities. They have something called the Black Co-oponomics Academy. And um, from that experience, and I'll put that website in the chat box. From that experience, I've just had a great opportunity to just kind of connect and learn from others. And that's really what started my journey. Being part of this academy, it's a 12-week. When I attended it initially, it was 12 weeks online. And the other co-founder, Kimberly Armstrong, one of our board members and a volunteer at the time, went through it. And then I had the opportunity to go to the conference that year. That was in 2023. And then in 2024, Kimberly Armstrong, the other co-founder, went to the conference. And in 2025, three of our board members and myself had the opportunity to go through the academy again, and it was actually a total of 7 of us. And so those of us, 3 of us were able to participate in person, and the rest kind of did it online at their leisure, by looking at the videos that were created from the sessions. But I put that website in there for you. And from that, what was really helpful for me was to be able to go to the conference and connect with folks and learn about the National Association of Black Cooperators, which is working to kind of do what someone had mentioned earlier about trying to pull everybody together and create a way that people can know what's going on nationally in terms of the local work that we're all trying to do, right? And so from that, we had the opportunity to form the Black Co-op Study Circle here in Baltimore, which is an opportunity to help us who are local be able to connect with each other and stay connected. And what happened is that Black Co-op Study Circle actually again attracted people from all over. One time we had a brother from Peru calling in and participating in the book discussion. And so it's just a space to grow and learn. And so I want to show 2 short videos. One is more historic, and I learned about the existence of this co-op that was based in Baltimore in the 1800s from the reading of the book Collective Courage by Dr. Jessica Gordon Nimhart. And if you all have not read that, I would encourage you to be part of our ongoing book discussion that we have now. We're on to chapter 5, but I just think it's a wealth of knowledge and information to kind of get the grounding and historic. It's like understanding that Sankofa before we can move forward. We got to know, our history. And for those of us who are from Baltimore, I never really knew the rich history of co-ops in Baltimore, particularly Black co-ops. And so reading Collective Courage was it was like a wow moment for me. And so I want to show this short video that talks about one of the successful co-ops that formed in the early 1800s. I'll also put the link in the chat as well.
So why use
Can you all hear the sound? If someone could give me a thumbs up.
Yes, we can hear it.
You can hear, okay, good.
Hello, and welcome to Seize the Mean September. This month, we're going to look at different examples of organized labor that involve workers seizing the means of production. Today, we're looking at the Chesapeake Marine Railway and Dry Dock Company, a co-op founded by Black workers in Baltimore to evaluate how successful this experiment was and how effective worker co-ops might be in the future. First and foremost, what do I mean when I say cooperative, usually shortened to just co-op? There are many different types of co-ops, but I'm specifically talking about a workers' co-op, which can be defined as a cooperative that is owned and self-managed by the workers. This can be achieved by the workers electing the management of the co-op or where the workers vote on workplace decisions directly, but democracy is the most important part here. Co-ops, especially co-ops formed by workers as a form of organized labor, aren't a new thing by a long shot. There were at least 2 recorded co-ops formed in Philadelphia within the first 50 years of the United States. One in 1791, a mere 2 years after the ratification of the United States Constitution, was formed when carpenter journeymen walked off the job for the 10-hour day. They formed a co-op where they worked 10-hour days and charged 25% less than their employer to undercut his profit, but this temporary co-op was only planned to last for the duration of the strike. In 1806, shoemakers Peter Paulin and Undriel Bacchus unionized and struck for higher wages. They were arrested and charged with conspiracy because unionizing was not yet legal. Rather than go back to their former employer, they chose to form a boot and shoemaking co-op. How successful these co-ops were has been seemingly lost to history, but it at least demonstrates that skilled workers use co-ops as a form of organized labor. Right, let's talk about Baltimore and shipyards. From the early to mid-19th century, free and enslaved blacks worked in various trades on Baltimore shipyards, especially in the trade of ship caulking. Ship caulking is the process where oakum or some other material is driven into the seams between the planks of wooden ships and then covered by a waterproof material in order to make the ship watertight. It was an important step in shipbuilding and maintenance, and as a result, this trade was very important to Baltimore, with it being a major port and all. Blacks were so well represented in this trade that they formed a union known as the Caulkers Association in 1838. This union negotiated wages and working conditions for black caulkers, who received $1.75 a day, which was quite good for the time. However, in the 1840s and 50s, black workers gradually began to be replaced by white immigrant workers. Whites often used violence to push blacks out of the shipyard trade, and employers stopped hiring black caulkers. Finally, in 1865, white caulkers and ship carpenters struck against the employment of blacks as caulkers on the shipyards of Baltimore. The strike, supported by the city government and the police, oddly enough, was successful, and black workers employed in trades at the Baltimore shipyards were dismissed. This brings us to Isaac Myers. Myers was born a free black Baltimorean in 1835 in the slave state of Maryland. Unable to attend public schools because he was black, he was educated in a private school until age 16, when he entered an apprenticeship and became a ship caulker. Myers himself was a particularly skilled caulker, and within 4 years he was already superintending the caulking of clipper ships, the large speedy merchant ships used in the mid-19th century. In 1865, he was one of the caulkers who lost his job in the shipyard. Myers, along with several other black workers, responded not by leaving Baltimore, but by forming their own cooperative company, originally called the John Smith Company, but later renamed the Chesapeake Marine Railway and Dry Dock Company. They raised $10,000 selling shares at $5 each and borrowed another $30,000. Frederick Douglass, a former caulker himself, supported the cause by becoming one of its first stockholders. The venture initially ran into trouble because the white shipyard owners refused to sell a shipyard to the black caulkers, but a white businessman named William Applegarth agreed to be an intermediary. He purchased a lease on Lot 42 on Philpott Street, and the co-op opened on February 12, 1866. So, was the Chesapeake Marine Railway and Dry Dock Company successful? Yes. Within 6 months, the co-op hired 300 black workers, and later even employed some white mechanics. Workers repeatedly received $3 a day, which was better pay than they could expect at other companies. Because the company employed both white and black workers, white unions associated with the shipyard trades couldn't ignore the company, or the Black Caulker Union. The Colored Caulkers Trade Union Society of Baltimore and a white caulkers union that existed during this period even met at times to address grievances within the trade. The co-op earned a reputation in the Chesapeake Bay area for performing high-quality work, which resulted in a lot of business and several contracts coming from the federal government. Within 5 years, it was able to pay off its debt. The co-op apparently went into decline after losing its government contracts to competing companies that employ white workers at lower wages. It ceased operations in 1884 after the lease at Lot 42 was not renewed due to an oversight. This was not the end of Isaac Myers or his role in black organized labor, and I'll be talking about him again in the near future. If this co-op was successful, why didn't black workers, or workers in general, adopt this model elsewhere in the nation? A big obstacle for creating co-ops, both then and now, is acquiring the capital necessary to form the business in the first place. In order to form a cooperative business like the Chesapeake Marine Railway and Dry Dock Company, workers would probably need to sell shares to investors and acquire donations from a wealthy beneficiary, or a group of people allied with the cause. A co-op would have to compete with other businesses that have more resources and aren't interested in paying their workers good wages. Looking towards today and the future, while co-ops have drawbacks that make me wonder how effective they can be in the future in certain industries like retail, they have great potential for improving workers' standard of living. In fact, I would argue that worker co-ops might be the best way for workers to achieve ownership of the means of production in the short term. It's because it's legal and it doesn't require any sort of intermediate revolutionary action. But I'll talk about that more when we look at modern co-ops in the future. Thanks for watching. Can you believe I actually made a video that's less than 10 minutes long? It's a Labor Day miracle. If you enjoyed this video, why not give it a like or a comment for the algorithm?
Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing with that. And I'm open to getting your thoughts about the video.
So I'll say it's great to hear the history and that it has been a while. I mean, it has been around for a period of time here in Baltimore. So it was a great history lesson. And especially for me, since it was very closely aligned to what I was saying as far as the wage sustainability and all the other different
Yeah,
things and the reasons why. So that kind of hit well for me as a trades co-op.
absolutely. And I believe Collective Courage, if you haven't read that book yet, pick up the 10th anniversary edition because Dr. Nimhart has an expanded introduction at the beginning. And
Right.
in the book, she talks, specifically about this particular co-op and gives more detail about some of the struggles it faced. And, it was around for 18 years, and
Yeah.
so that's a long time.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So that was a great video. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Did that phrase colored cooperator bring out any emotions or evoke any thoughts for folks?
I would say, um, for me, when I first heard it, I was like, oh, but then, with the time, it
Yeah.
is what it is. But yeah, it definitely was a noticeable part. I mean, he was just going, just going, just going. I was like, oh, wait a minute. But, the times were what they were. So here we,
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
Yeah. Um, I wonder, and I think Hyacinth, Hyacinth, am I
Hyacinth. Hyacinth.
Hyacinth,
Yes.
Hyacinth,
Yes.
Hyacinth? I think you spoke to this a little earlier, but I wonder how the legacy shows up in our communities today, in Black Baltimore today. And you
Mhm.
talked a little bit about that just in terms of the focus of your co-op, the fact that it is a trades co-op. But I wonder if any of you had any other thoughts about how this legacy shows up in our communities today. And then what historical gaps or erasures, right, because this rich history, and who knew? We're not taught this in schools. Who knew? What historical gaps or erasures around Black co-ops need to be reclaimed or retold.
Yeah, I'll say something on that real quick and then I'll
Hmm.
stop. And then I'll stop talking. Um,
No, don't stop talking. That's what we're here for, to talk.
I think that first we have to go back to the reason why for like co-ops, right? And so the difference between like when we talk about like partnerships, because I know that was one of the things that people ask, like, why don't you just do a partnership instead of a co-op, right? And I think that, we've all heard that thing, like, when you're starting a business or you have something, and it's like you want people that are just as committed to it as you are. We always say like, I can never find someone who's going to love my business the way I do, right? And
Hmm.
that's what co-ops are trying to bring together, a group of people who have the same motive, the same values, and everything, and coming together. So when we talk about like obviously the principle of Umoja is working together, and we
Hmm.
see it more when it came to more like produce and like farming, right? It was
Hmm.
like you have a farm and you sell corn, and I have a farm that we sell cabbage, and I'm just making up stuff because I don't even know what
Yeah.
cabbage is from. But the point is that, but if we come together and now we open up a market, and I'm selling my this and you're selling that, and it's like we all have vested interests. We can split the profits, and we're just better together than we are each person doing its own separate thing. So we can just, come together like that way. So I think I kind of went on a tangent. But the point was that it's going back to that collective force where it's like if we come together and we do things together, and we also create legacy, right? Because now you're giving people opportunity for ownership that may not have had that, right? And so as a culture, it's like I would like to own something, but I just don't know how, or I don't have the money. This gives
Hmm.
like people that opportunity to get into ownership of businesses, and we know how that can help with like a financial legacy, that type of thing. So I'll just say my two piece on that.
Indeed, indeed. Thank you for sharing that. Indeed, indeed. Did anybody else want to chime in?
I thought it was really good.
Hmm.
Um, I didn't know a lot of the information. Like you said, we weren't taught that in
Hmm.
school. I think it was really good to see Black people come together and create something beautiful. So
Yes.
that's my 2 cents.
Thank you for sharing. And if anybody else wants to share, feel free to if you're a little shy, we recognize and understand that. Feel free to put your comments in the chat and one of us will read it for you if you prefer that way. But I think this is a great transition. Many of you talked about having your own co-ops and, the work that you're doing to try to get it started. A few of you talked about wanting to move into that direction. For those of you who have already started your co-ops, feel free to talk a little bit about what resources you've come across. I'm putting in the chat box right now. I already mentioned Network for Developing Conscious Communities and their Black Co-opinomics Academy. I put the link in there. I also mentioned Baltimore Roundtable for Economic Democracy. I'm putting the link in there as well. Another organization that I mentioned was the National Association of Black Cooperators, NABC. I don't think they have a website as of yet, but they do have some contact folks. And if you're interested, send me a chat message and I will put an email address for someone that you can reach out to. They also, a lot of the people who are part of NABC are part of a WhatsApp conversation, and they're constantly sharing information about resources and training opportunities. And so that's a great resource. Also, there is an organization called, I believe it's Rochdale Capital, and they have been a great source of support to the Black Co-op Study Circle here in Baltimore. And I listed the Black Co-op Study Circle earlier. And this is just really an informal group of people who originally went to that 2023 National Black Cooperators Conference that was in Las Vegas, and a lot of us were in Baltimore, and we were like meeting each other for the first time, and we were like, hey, let's figure out how we can stay connected. And we decided to stay connected by forming a study group where we could also learn and share resources together. And so that's the link there. And then, as I mentioned, it grew into a group that wasn't just Baltimore based. It, really became people from all over who had the interest in kind of moving forward and supporting each other and learning and growing together. And so I want to give you all an opportunity to share some resources. As you're talking, I'm going to be adding some additional resource information in the chat. And is there a particular resource or funder that any of you have come across that has been helpful in your journey as a co-op that you would like to share with others?
I went through Bread. So that is who provided us the information that we needed. And then also they have lawyers who specialize in cooperatives as well. And I will have to find the name of the lawyer that we use to help us that helped us draft like our articles and our operating agreement.
Mm-hmm.
Because of course that's really important with that. And so those are researches. I also we got a grant from the LEDC, the Latino Economic Development Center. I want to say that's what it stands for, um, to actually help us with the startup of our co-op as well.
Oh, cool, cool.
Could you um share more about what made you, because I know, based on what we've done with Innovation Works, you have the co-op, the institute, and your business. Like, what made you decide to keep both portions?
Yeah, that's actually a good question. So as I was growing the laundry basket, we definitely knew that we wanted to do something with workforce development. But we wanted to keep it separate from like, what we currently do because we kind of still at like two different spaces. So one option was to make it a nonprofit. To open it up as a nonprofit. And we knew that we would be able to get grants and that type of thing. But honestly, the work required for the nonprofit, I was like, I don't think I want to put another, because that's a big endeavor to have a nonprofit. And so I didn't want to put that on top of what I was currently doing. And so with the cooperative model, as I was saying before, it made sense because it was like now it's not just Hyacinth doing it. Because one thing is that I am deeply involved in it. However, it's not just me to make it like grow into scale. And that's one of the things that's like, and at first it was like a mindset shift, right? Because I spent all my time building the laundry basket. I'm the one that has the experience of the industry. And so it was kind of like when they say democratic, it is like extremely democratic. Because if I say, yeah, I think we should, and everybody else is like, no, it ain't happening. So I was just like, wait a minute. At first it hurt my feelings because I was like, wait a minute, we all here because of me. But because it's a learning curve, right? It's a learning curve. So and so once I got past that and realized that we all are there for the same vision and the purpose, and everyone has a vote, and nothing can go on without it being, a decision made by every single person, then I was like, this is the greater good. So it's just more help. It's more, I think, like we already say, that you can go further. Yeah, you can go further with more people. And so that's why I decided to make it more cooperative because it will grow bigger when it's not just me at the helm.
Thank you for sharing that. Those are some excellent points. And oh my goodness. So you all are putting some just want to make sure you're checking the chat. I've put in the links for the Black Co-opinomics Academy, Baltimore Roundtable for Economic Democracy, the Black Co-op Study Circle, but also Scott, do you want to talk a little bit about Impact Consulting Fellowships and also the event that happened in January a little?
Yeah, so the Impact Consulting Fellowship is the opportunity to work with MBA students at UMD for free. Um, and also in a way where I feel like you're not exploiting, unpaid labor, but you're still getting some unpaid labor, I guess. Um, but it's in a way where, it's for their capstone course. And so they take students in the summer, but I think the time to apply for the summer internship slash, it's not internship, it's a fellow. It's just, a group of 6 students. You give them a problem that you're working on, and they'll spend the semester coming up with good recommendations for you and your business challenge or whatever it is.
Mhm.
And so they should be taking applicants, businesses for in the fall. So that would start in, late August and it would run until December. And I think the ask is that, you or someone from your group is there at the beginning to kind of explain and give context to the challenge, and then to be there in person at the very end for their kind of demoed, their pitch day or their final presentation, really. Um, so that can be good. And I think the email of the person to contact is on that website. Um, and then the January event that I mentioned, that we did that this past January. Um, and we had a good crowd of 60, 70 people. A couple people made it down from Baltimore, but people made it from DC and College Park and Columbia and et cetera. Um, and it was just a space. We had several different presentations about existing business, how do you convert to a cooperative? What does that process look like? How do you get the funding for it? We just had a lot of people meeting that didn't know each other.
Mhm.
Um, so I think we're gonna try to do the same thing in January again. And so I'm open. I just put it out there because you never know what can come from it, but would be happy to. There's many different things we can do. I mean, we can, might just do that event again, same thing, maybe with different speakers and stuff.
Mhm.
Um, But we also have the space in UMD, that can hold about 80 people that is completely free. I mean, we could do all kinds of different events there anytime, not just, this January event. So just put that out there.
Cool, cool, cool. And so hopefully you all are clicking on the links. Um, I also put in, and thank you, Scott, for sharing that. Um, oh, the Melanin Messages Legacy Center. I've never heard of that. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, that's an organization that's one of our members of our cooperative, and the goal is to address the historical issues surrounding African heritage people. Why we don't tend to have a collective mindset, because we have a mindset that was controlled by capitalism and society for hundreds of years. So we have workbooks, workshops, free curriculum, just everything to help decolonize the mind and help
Mhm.
us open our minds up to understanding who we are culturally outside of this mindset that was given to us. We didn't ask for it. So we have workbooks, we have free curriculum, we just have general educational courses just that anybody can use in any aspect, whether it's adults, children. You want to train for, we just come out with different workbooks that can be used to create workshops. We do workshops, but the whole goal, and we call it the plantation mindset, because we carry that with us and people don't acknowledge it. So the whole website is just set up for anyone to come in and really go back. It's like saying, Sankofa. We have to go back to really figure out how we got here and break down all those barriers and come to our true selves.
Oh, yes. I love that. I love that. And that's so true. When you when the sister was talking about, she was saying, well, hey, I came up with this and I gotta wait for everybody else. It's a change of mindset. It's going from that kind of individual to that, collective thought and action. And it is a little different, and so we definitely have to reprogram ourselves, because even our culture, our educational system doesn't prepare us to think collectively. It prepares us to be individuals, to be, capitalists, and to go, and that competition, so it certainly is a whole new way of thinking and doing. So thank you for sharing that. I am continuing to put in, and these are people that I've had the chance to interact with because of, again, some of the connections that I've made. There's a group called, and I'm going to share this. Let me see if I can share this screen. And some of you may be familiar with them, but they are called Start.coop. And I believe their office is in DC, but I believe they have branches all over. And when you visit the website, they have all sorts of support for people and groups that are looking to move toward cooperative entrepreneurship. They have fellowships. They have, I'm going to click here so you can see some of the different programs. They have accelerators, they have incubators, they have peer cohorts. And so a lot of the accelerators will open you up to access to funding. Like this particular one says, high performing graduates will be eligible to apply for follow-on funding for up to 50,000. And so what I found, even the accelerator that I went through with BREAD, Baltimore Roundtables for Economic Development, um, it was helpful because even though we weren't necessarily given like a fund afterwards, they actually paid us a stipend to participate, which was really helpful early on. It was just really helpful, and I really appreciated that. And then just the connections again, and having the opportunity to travel and visit some other site, some other operating co-ops outside of Baltimore. So when I was part of the Bread Academy, we did a trip to New York, and we visited probably about 5 or 6 different co-ops in New York, and they were so different, and it was good to be able to see that variety. And so I have Start.coop. Do any of you have any experience with Start.coop? So that's new for you all too. Okay, cool, cool. So definitely check them out. Um, um, I found them to be very, really everybody that I've interacted with in this co-op space, every organization I'm naming here has been very helpful. The people are always encouraging and kind, and always just, ready to share. And that's what I love about being in this space. Another one that I found was very helpful, and they just had like a series of free um, uh, virtual trainings. It was like a 3-day training that you could participate in, and then they had office hours. It's called the Cooperative Fund of the Northeast, and I put that in the chat box as well. And they provide a whole lot of resources. I would encourage you all to subscribe to these organizations' websites so that you can be on their regular email chain. They provide coaching. They have like free office hours that, like, say you have a question and you just need some help thinking through things. They offer free coaching hours. They offer some limited funding opportunities, but also just great connections. And again, I found that the people here um, um, are very open and honest, and you can see the different types of co-ops that they've kind of helped in terms of, and these are more loans than grants. So they're helping with different types of loans that are available. So definitely want you to check them out. Had any of you heard of the Cooperative Fund of the Northeast?
No, I did have a question, Lynn. There was one that you mentioned earlier on that had like the WhatsApp chat. I didn't see that because I would like to be a part of that. Can I get?
Yeah, that was the National Association of Black Cooperators, and they intentionally don't have a website as of yet. So,
Mhm.
but they do have the WhatsApp group. And so what you could do, like, just remind me in the chat that you're interested in that, and send me your telephone number. And what I will do is put in a request in the WhatsApp group to have you added.
Perfect. Doing right now. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Another one that I want to bring to your attention is the Rochdale Capitol. And Amber Jones, who's based here in Baltimore and very active in the National Association of Black Cooperators, and is one of the founding members of the Black Co-op Study Circle, connected us with Rochdale Capitol. And early on, she had a vision of seeing collective courage being more readily accessible to people in Baltimore who really, want to learn more about co-ops. And so she's talked to John at Rochdale Capital about making a donation of books. And he, through Rochdale Capital, they sent us free books that we were able to give out at a Black Co-op Study Circle book discussion last year. He also made a donation, Rochdale Capital also made a donation to about, I think it was like maybe 10 or 11 local branches of our Enoch Pratt Free Library here in Baltimore. And they also received copies of the 10th anniversary edition of Collective Courage. And Rochdale Capital, I'm just going to put here so you can see their it says they provide development services such as business counseling, financial literacy, credit management education, and advisory services for small businesses and home buyers with a focus in on you see here, they also serve worker and consumer owned cooperatives, and they also support community-based nonprofits. I would definitely encourage you to connect with them. Like I said, in my experience, they've been very supportive. And yeah. Yes, you can email your phone number since this is recorded. I'll put my email address in the chat. There you go. Okay, so I'm going to stop here. And then, and again, I just want to share, as we said, sharing resources. So earlier this year, I got an email from someone just out of the blue saying, hey, someone recommended you to take this, to participate in this program that we're offering. And I was just like, oh yeah, you know. Um, and I just want to share information about that because I was accepted into the program and actually received a scholarship via the Rochdale Capital. And so I just want to kind of share information. I haven't started yet. I officially start at the end of the month, but I want to just put this out to you as, additional resource information for those of you that might be interested in following the same path. And so I'm going to share my screen. And it's called the International Center for Cooperative Management. It's through St. Mary's University, and it's in Canada. Um, the They have a graduate program and then they have a professional certificate program. And so I'm actually going through the 10-month online certificate program. And it's focused on co-ops. And I was like really excited, it's part-time, it's online. It's called the Certificate in Cooperative Management. And so I was really excited and really honored to be selected to participate in this. And so again, I put the link to the broader program. Let me put this link in the chat box as well. And I was able to go because of a scholarship from Rochdale Capital. And so again, it's, knowing what resources are out there and being able to follow through with helping to get as much, training and support as you can for yourself and other members of your collective. Do any of you know of any other types of certificate programs or graduate programs that are focused around co-ops?
I think the Democracy at Work Institute has like a school of democratic management or something. Let me see if I can find the link.
Okay, if you could, that would be great, and we could pull that up as well. And then I've mentioned this, but I just want to make sure that all of you know. And if you don't have a copy already, you should definitely snag a copy. And what I'm talking about is the 10th anniversary edition of Collective Courage. I'm just going to share that. And, I laugh all the time and I say, like, this is like for those of us that are coming from, a Black we are Black, we have our own Black experiences. This was a great kind of introduction into that history of co-ops in our culture and that we somehow lost, right? And so again, this was so powerful. We read the book initially. This book came out in 2014, but then last year, Dr. Nimhart, it was the 10th year anniversary. So they released the 10th anniversary edition, and we decided as the Black Co-op Study Circle to reread it, right? And so now we're on the 5th chapter, and so you're welcome. The way the conversation is set up, even if you haven't read the other chapters, it won't be so overwhelming that you still can't participate. But I would definitely encourage you to participate. And I just want to just kind of share. I feel like we can't have this conversation without, getting some insight from Dr. Nimhart. So I'm just going to share this short clip with you.
Hi, I'm Laura Flanders. From slavery to civil rights, how did African Americans survive repression and discrimination in this country? In a large part, it was through courage and cooperation, says the author of an exciting new book on the African American economic experience. From the earliest days to right now, today, Dispossessed African Americans pooled resources, shared skills, and did together for themselves what the segregated state would not. A conference coming up in Jackson, Mississippi called Jackson Rising hopes to revive some of this history with a view to stimulating a new wave of solidarity economics. Our next guest will be there with her brand new book, Collective Courage. She's an economist and associate professor at John Jay College. I'm very pleased to welcome Dr. Jessica Gordon-Nimpart to Grit TV. Jessica, welcome.
Thank you.
Jessica, congratulations. Collective Courage, so exciting, such an unbelievable treasure trove of stories. Can you remember when you first realized, oh my goodness, what a history here?
Well, it's actually a long story because I've been doing this for almost 15 years now. I started thinking about it because I was working actually with the Children's Defense Fund in Washington, D.C. We were trying to figure out family-friendly economic development policies, right, that satisfy all the sort of values of sharing and democracy and family supporting and all that kind of stuff. And I realized that a friend of mine had been working on Du Bois's philosophy about cooperative economics. So I kind of gave him a call, and he reminded me I could read his dissertation, and then we talked, and we decided to write an article about why cooperative economics would actually be a good economic strategy. He had started to think about it before. He was thinking about it more on the theoretical side. And I realized we needed more of the practice. So I decided I should look and find out.
So tell us some of the stories. Some of the documents in your book go all the way back to slavery time.
Right. So definitely for slavery, we're talking about informal cooperative economics, so not an official co-op business or something, but just collectively raising money to buy somebody's freedom. So people would share, like one person might buy themselves out, then they would save money to buy their mother or their daughter or their wife or their father or that kind of thing. So that level of collectivity, people even consider the Underground Railroad to be a kind of collective activity, sort of collective economics, sharing of resources, that kind of thing. But the more official kind of relationships I found were what's called mutual aid societies.
And that was around funerals and doctors' visits and things like that?
Yep, health, death, health, widows and orphans, that kind of thing. And basically it was everybody puts in a certain amount every year or every month, and then whoever needs it gets to take it out.
So going forward, what's the next big chapter or moment that you look at in the book?
Organized labor then is the next group in the 1880s. So this is after the Civil War. We have a freed population. And some of the unions, a lot of them are not including blacks because they don't want the competition. And many of them would be racist. But there are some that see that as long as the working class is divided, they're not going to make it. So Knights of Labor is my best example. And for a 10-year period, they were doing integrated unions, which were promoting co-ops, both worker co-ops and farm co-ops.
And that's very interesting because in these days, there's an assumption or a presumption that there's a distinction or there's a opposition between trade unions and co-ops. So members of trade unions often say, well, why would I want to be part of a co-op? It's
right,
wanting more work from me. What about the 8-hour day?
Yeah, and it's a shame because for me, the histories that I found, they really were coexisted. They grew up together in a lot of ways. It's going to come up again in the 30s, which I still want to say something about Knights of Labor, but in the 30s also the Brotherhood of Sleeping Car Porters, which is the first black independent union.
A. Philip Randolph.
A. Philip Randolph, and never forget Helena Wilson, president of the Ladies Auxiliary. She and he together promoted co-ops, and that was one of the major functions of the Ladies Auxiliary was to talk about consumer education and co-ops, because again, keeping resources, money into working class hands. The Knights of Labor, they actually had to do a lot of their work underground, clandestine. And in fact, even the integrated branches of the union had to have white leaders because blacks weren't accepted as leaders. So all the black, basically, members were black, but the leader would be white, and all the members would have to be underground because otherwise they could be lynched, mobbed, their co-ops burned, that kind of thing. At every stage, and really every group in the world has done this at every stage in history, they've needed co-ops to help especially in marginalized cases where you're left out of the mainstream, to help you either create a living, do alternative work because you're not allowed in the mainstream work, that kind of thing. So throughout our history, the 30s during the Great Depression, with no jobs, no work, no money, no food, right? That was a huge proliferation. And then again, in the 60s and 70s would have been a huge proliferation for Blacks because it was both the consciousness of that we need to do something for ourselves and also the actual economic need that we can't get the food we need, we can't do the kind of farming we want, we can't get the loans, right? So the co-ops really were providing food, loans, work, healthcare, any of the things that they really either couldn't get or weren't getting adequately. And
So I'm going to stop there. And again, I put the link in the chat box if you all wanted to learn more about her book, but also to watch that particular video is 15 minutes long. Have any of you read the book? Okay, okay. Well, you are welcome to join us. Okay, cool. You are welcome to join us. Oh, I'm glad you started reading it. You're welcome to join us. I believe, and I have to check the date, but I believe the next discussion for the Black Co-op Study Circle is Chapter 5. I want to say it's July 30th, but I'm not sure, but I'll certainly send out a notice to all of you all. I'm going to go ahead and add you all to the BGJWC monthly email update, and we normally announce the Black Co-op Study Circle reading discussion date. So I'll add you all to that.
Can you drop that link in the chat again?
Yes, yes. Let me put that in there. Yeah. There it is. And that was the link for the book, right? The 10th anniversary edition and where the video is, right? I just put that in the link for you. So with that first video focused on the history of like Black co-ops here in Baltimore, to give one example, right? Because there were a lot of different Black co-ops successful around the country, particularly around agriculture. And one of the oldest Black co-ops is a farming co-op from down south, right? And then we know, the history of Marcus Garvey, right? And so, we just have this rich history, and the onus is on us to have these conversations because somewhere along the line, I know in my family, this wasn't something that was discussed or that we really knew about. But then when we started kind of talking about this, we realized that we were doing things that were similar to co-ops, what we just didn't call it a co-op, right? So that's kind of interesting too. There is another video that I want us to watch that is more modern, and it's more focused on an existing co-op that's here in Baltimore. It's not particularly a Black sponsored co-op, but I just think that a lot of what they are experiencing are similar experiences that we have had to deal with over the years. And so let me pull that one up, and I will also put that link in the chat box as well.
Just wonderful to see all these immigrants coming together and learning from each other culturally in that.
We've done through today 9,035 meals. So on Thursday we'll have over 1,000. Oh, sorry, over 10,000.
It's just wonderful to see all these immigrants coming together and learning from each other culturally in that kitchen, which has been a terrific thing because our Latin people have not worked necessarily directly with Middle Eastern people and vice versa. So it's created a very interesting interaction at work.
The first thought is, what are we going to do with how we can support our members during the pandemic and how we can support the community?
We set out this GoFundMe. We had a request to do 250 meals a day for 5 days. And then the first day happened and we said, oh, wow, like we did it. And the second day and every day we started doing a little bit more. By the third week, we were doubling it and we were doing over 500 meals a day. I mean, we had never made 250 individual meals. You know, we cater for hundreds of people, but that's totally different. Boxing up and packing 250 meals was something that we'd never done.
The first thing that came to mind at the beginning of this pandemic and when we closed the restaurant were, okay, we have the staff, some of them are Americans, they can file for unemployment. Some have exceptional talent visas, so they cannot. And then we have others that are here as political refugees. So for me, the most important thing with my husband was to see who is more in danger of having no food on the table.
People have been super, super grateful. And, you know, all the food that we're making, I think the fun thing is that, like, we're giving out meals for free. So, like, people aren't ordering. Everybody is free to, like, make whatever they want and what they love and what they want to show off. And we have a lot of really talented people in the kitchen. You know, we're putting, like, you know, Middle Eastern and Syrian flavors and rice together with, like, chipotle and adobo chicken and coming together to, like, make dishes.
I have to add that the food that they're making, which I've been a recipient a couple times just to check it out, is very balanced. It has protein, it has a carb, and it has vegetables every single time. And it's also, the amount is, it's generous. So no one will go hungry with this program.
One of the people who helps us get food donations, like produce, he asks, hey, just make sure you bring 2 boxes for me every day, you know, because he loves eating it. Like, one of the people that we're giving food to now, he runs an after school program, which obviously is not running now, and he's trying to make sure he's taking care of the families. And he, like, saw me with, like, boxes of food and stopped me on the street and was like, that smells really good. What is that? And now we have 150 meals a day for people in his after school program and families like that.
So we just have a couple people in the community that are plugged into like food donations. For example, if they say, okay, we have spinach today and broccoli, we'll just take it and make whatever we have from there. And that's what the team is amazing. They're being very creative of whatever we have. They make an amazing meal out of it, which I think they've been enjoying the challenge of like, what we made today.
Every penny that we raise is directly to fund these free meals. The goal is to not lose money, which in the food industry is often people are losing money. So, like, if we don't lose money and we keep people employed, I think that's a win. It's usually like towards the end of the week that I'm like, I need to put something out on social media because we need more money for next week.
So far, if this continues, I think we'll be able to avoid the hunger, which is, as I said, for me, the most important thing.
So this is the Mira Kitchen Collective, and let me pull up their website. And this particular video that I showed was actually during COVID, and we know that our world was a lot different in 2020. And so I believe their model has changed a little, whereas I think back then they were just doing free food giveaways, but now Mira Kitchen is actually a eatery restaurant that you can, a sit-down restaurant that you can actually go to here in Baltimore. And I've gone at least once and the food is amazing. And so I put the link there in the chat box for you. Are any of you familiar with Mira Kitchen Collective? Had you all heard of them before?
No, I've never heard of them.
Yeah, I've had it a couple times. It's really good, but I don't know much about it other than it tastes good.
Yeah, yeah. And so I wonder if from, watching that video, you know, I wonder if when we're in this space talking about Black-led co-ops and what can we learn from immigrant and refugee-led co-ops and vice versa? Just thinking in terms of some of the shared struggles between Black Baltimoreans and some of our immigrant communities here. If anybody's talking, you're muted.
I would say, I think one of the values that stands out is community impact. And
Mm,
so a lot of what we do is also to help others.
yes.
And to it's like sometimes like that's how we get like one of the that's just one of the values that we have is just how do we make it a better place? Like how do we avoid some of the things that we may have seen? So food insecurity obviously is a really big thing for a lot of different places,
Yeah.
a lot of different countries. And I think what I see is that like that joy of just being able to give someone a good meal and make sure that they're fed. And
Mm-hmm.
also it's a culture thing, right? Because you're also imparting your culture onto other people who may not be familiar with it, right? So I may have never had Lebanese food or something like that, but it's like they, finding that joy and like making sure that people understand other cultures and when it comes to food and experiences. So I think it's just like a journey when it comes to, and then just for this example, it's like a shared experience when it comes to like food.
Yes. Yes. Thank you for sharing that. Indeed. Indeed. I think another thing when I watched the video, another question that kind of that I kind of thought about was how do food co-ops and worker-owned businesses, worker-owned co-ops help reclaim economic power and dignity in many of our communities that are historically marginalized and underserved? And I think it's a lot of what you talked about, those shared common goals, those shared experiences, a true desire, and commitment to wanting to make our community better and to help our communities and our families and to build legacy, right? Was anybody else struck by anything else that was shared? I hope you go check them out. Their food is really good.
One of the things that I noticed about one of the things that they said that didn't go over my head was that they don't have a lot of waste. Like they find a way of, because waste is obviously a big thing in like restaurants, and
Yeah.
they find a way of using every single thing and making it into something else. And the fact that they're combining different cultures into like one packaged meal, I thought that was like pretty cool. So like your meat may be this, but your starch and your potatoes is this, your rice is this, your vegetables are
Right.
this. I thought that was a really cool concept, and I really see how they can continue to build on it. I know like their model has changed, but I was like, that is such a cool thing. Like, my business mind is like, wow, like a mixed cultural meal. Like you can go to like
Yeah.
5 different countries in like one meal. Like I think that
Yeah.
like that concept was like so cool. They should probably still continue to build that out. But I'm not on their board, so but yeah.
Yeah, that struck me too. And even when you look at the menu, the food that you get there, you might not ever get anyplace else, right? And so that's always a unique draw too. And the fact that, like you said, is good.
Yeah, and they also said it was like different. So it was like their thing there was just like today it may be this, tomorrow it's like
Mhm.
that, because they were like it's free, who's gonna complain? But it's like
Right.
we're just gonna make whatever we want to, whatever is in our heart and whatever ingredients we have, and but just know it's
Yeah.
made with love. I thought that was pretty cool
Yeah.
too. It's like a mystery surprise box,
Right.
like type of thing. Like you just don't know what it is. And
Right.
that's
And
cool.
that was encouraging to me in terms of, trying to figure out, sometimes in this journey of trying to launch this co-op, sometimes we're like, are we ready? Finally somebody says to me, listen, y'all been studying for a while. It's time for y'all to launch, right? Because it's like almost like a fear of not doing it right. But I got such encouragement from them when they were like, listen, we're just going to go with what we have and we're going to be creative and whatever happens, happens, so it's like that leap of faith. And I was very encouraged by, that them sharing that experience in the video. I'm going to circle back to bread. And I think at least one person said that they came up through bread. I'm going to share my screen. Bread is Baltimore Roundtable for Economic um, Democracy. And they have a link. I did put it in the chat. They have some free resource tools that I thought was really helpful. They have something called a break-even analysis to help you kind of think through, the budget portion of building your model. And then they have right here the steps to a startup. And they have a whole folder that you can click on. And you can see once you click on the folder, you have access to some documents here that they make available to everyone. That's really useful. See if I can go back. Yeah. Then if you scroll down a little more, they have something called the Worker Cooperative Business Model Canvas to really kind of help you start thinking through. Um, that's on Google Sheets, and you can click here to click to make a copy. And then they have the governance matrix to help you, think through the rights and responsibilities of each stakeholder in your cooperative to help you build a clear plan for how to deal with major decisions before they come up. And then they have some other kind of things that you could click on, some other organizational resources. They mention a consensus handbook by Seeds of Change and the communication resources by Democracy at Work Institute and when we fall apart in it together. So these are, again, this conversation today in honor of Co-op 25, which is sponsored by the United Nations. And before we leave today, we're going to show you that short video, 2 short videos from the United Nations in terms of why today was so important to be able to create a space where these types of conversations can happen. But just want to make sure that you are aware of this resource page and wanted to throw it out there. Do any of you know of any other links that provide this type of kind of links in file folders for you to share to be able to build out your ideas. If so, please, please, please feel free to put them in the link. Put them in the chat. And I'm hoping you all are finding this helpful. We wasn't quite sure how the conversation was going to go, but again, it was about resource sharing. So are you finding some of the links that I'm sharing? Are you finding them useful, interesting? Do you think there's something that you'll be able to build from?
Okay, I was trying to type, but anyway, yes, it's very resourceful. So thank you
Okay.
for doing that.
Okay, good. Okay. Oh, thanks, Scott. So Scott put in a link, another resource sharing initiative, the Climate Change Resilience. So I'm going to click on that and let me share my screen here. And Scott, did you want to talk a little bit about this?
Yeah, I mean, this is a kind of just a grouping of a couple different groups. Lynn, I'd be curious if we could get you involved if you wanted to be involved. It's been a monthly
Absolutely.
call
Mm-hmm.
um with between some of these different groups that are trying to get climate. I mean, everyone has different focuses, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
Commerce is on it, Maryland Commerce, and there's specifically a guy, Ryan Powell, who does their energy program stuff. It's
Mm-hmm.
just a group of people meeting, and there's a monthly newsletter that's pretty helpful if you sign up for the listserv. That's very fledgling, like it's very new, and it's just very informal. Like there's no money behind it. It's just people meeting.
Okay.
Um, And then the second link I sent was just a roundtable that I've actually like this has been I've been working with Taji from Baltimore Roundtable and
Mm-hmm.
Emily Bernard from Bethesda Green, which is a green incubator down in Bethesda, um, to put together just like an online call every month, just to
Mm-hmm.
surface some of the entrepreneurs that are doing really cool work and at the same time like build awareness of I've tried to market as a call open to everyone. So,
Right.
if you're a student looking for an internship, come and learn about what's happening in our area. If you're a funder, come identify some new funding prospects. If
Mm-hmm.
you're another entrepreneur, you should have an idea of what other people are doing because I feel like the reality is a lot of these people are doing very similar things
Yeah.
that there's ways to work with each other in mutually beneficial ways to cooperate. So,
Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing that. And
yeah.
this event is coming up on July 24th at
Yeah.
3. Okay. And then let's see. Yes, the Philadelphia Area Cooperative Alliance. I'll click on that. Did you want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure, it's called PACA, and they really are they like they say on their website, the co-op of co-ops. So they are the go-to place in Philadelphia, and they're known, nationally also, just to help organization, policy, anything around co-ops. They have like their resources are just a wealth of resources, and the goal is to just bring together co-ops and help sustain them. And
Mm,
even though it's Philadelphia based, it's nationally, anyone internationally, what they offer is, even in look at their resource, it's extensive. So anything you need, you can really find it there or find a link to someone who's giving you what
yeah.
you need.
Cool. Cool. Okay. We got that in there. I don't think I had mentioned when I spoke about bread, I talked about how it was part of a 10-week academy, and we did a site visit to New York. And one of the organizations that one of the funders that we met in New York was with an organization called Seed Commons. And so I wanted to put that link in the chat box and just share the screen. Have any of you had any relations with Seed Commons? Have you heard of them?
No, I haven't heard of them.
Okay, this is their website, and it says, "We create non-extractive financial infrastructure that shifts economic power to workers and communities." And if you click on here, they talk about the difference between non-extractive finance, workplace democracy, networked power, rethinking risks, community capacity. And then I was checking here. Again, I would encourage you to subscribe to their newsletter and then click on right here where it says news and updates to kind of get a feel of some of the different, opportunities that they're focused on. You see here, it says the worker-owned coffee cooperatives of Baltimore. So I'm going to click there because, again, this is in our own hometown. And this is funded by Fresh Cup highlights the work of Seed Commons members, the Baltimore Roundtable for Economic Democracy, which is BREAD. And what happens is a lot of the funding that Seed Commons offers comes through BREAD. So you might not necessarily apply directly to Seed Commons, but if you're working with BREAD, perhaps some of the funding that you might be able to tap into through like easy access loans might be in partnership between BREAD and Seed Commons, if that makes sense. So I'm going to stop sharing here. Oh, great, 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 great. Another, give me a minute, I'm just pulling up. When we talked about the Black Co-op Study Circle here in Baltimore, I just want to pull up a resource that was created by, it was created by Amber Jones, and I want to put that link, give me 1 minute and I will find it. Because Amber put a lot of work into finding research and information that would help people. So right here where it says, and you can find this if you get an email from me, is at the bottom of my signature, and I will put the link in the chat as well, where it says learn more. And she actually put together like a resource document, which is really helpful. She calls this the coordinating document, and it goes over like some core principles. It goes over the purpose of why we started the Black Co-op Study Circle. It talks about some other types of community agreements. It kind of gives you some history to some of the surveys that we've done. And I haven't updated it lately with the recent meetings, so that's something that I need to do. But what I really love is the resources that she makes available. So she put together, and I'll try to make this a little bigger so you all can see this. So she puts together, and these are links that you could click on just in terms of some cooperative principles and frameworks. And she talks about the ICA Statement of Cooperative Identity, the Nguzo Saba, the 7 Principles of Kwanzaa, the Solidarity Economy Principles, and NABC is the National Association of Black Cooperators, some relational agreements. And then she provides some wonderful links around cooperative education and history. She provides links to some existing national association and coalitions around co-ops and Black co-ops. In terms of Baltimore, some local cooperative businesses and organizations that we were aware of. And now we're so excited to learn about some of you, all of you, that are up and running in Baltimore and in Philly. And then she listed some additional cooperative funders and some quick reading guides. And so I want to make sure that you all have access to this. So I'm going to try to find the copy link. And I think you should be able to access this link by just clicking on this link here. And I was so thankful for Amber Jones for pulling this document together, because it really is a great starting point just in terms of understanding the history, understanding some of the existing kind of organizations, co-ops, cooperative cooperators in Baltimore, but also some of the funding and then some of the thought behind it. And so again, it's kind of living Dr. Nimhart's book, because it's not just the theory, and reading about the values and the principles, but it's also doing the research and learning about the existing co-ops that's actually putting this into practice. When you click on the link, are you able to access it?
Yes, I'm in it now.
Cool. Awesome.
Yeah, I saved it as part of my favorites.
Awesome. Good. All right. And then, did anybody want to share or add anything? Okay, so I'm going to put, awesome, I'm glad you made a copy. I'm going to put this link in the chat, and then I'm going to share my screen so you all can see it. So 2025 by the United Nations is actually the year of the cooperative. And so that's really exciting and encouraging. But this day, Saturday, July 5th, and normally around this time, there is normally a celebration around cooperatives. And so this year, cooperatives driving inclusive and sustainable solutions for a better world. And so it says here on Saturday, the 5th of July, 2025, communities around the world are coming together to celebrate the International Day of Cooperatives, Co-ops Day, under the inspiring theme, Cooperatives Driving Inclusive and Sustainable Solutions for a Better World. This year's event is especially significant, taking place during the United Nations International Year of Cooperatives, a rare once-in-a-decade moment to spotlight the vital role of cooperatives in creating fairer, more resilient societies. And so The objectives for this year's observance was to raise public awareness, to promote growth and development, to advocate for supportive frameworks, and to inspire leadership, right? And so I'm hoping that, you know, what we can take away from our time today is that we've at least raised awareness about each other, to know that we exist, that we're here, that we're not alone, that there are other resources, local and national and even international, that are out there to support us. And that, you know, hopefully this will be a spark to allow us to continue to work together. Um, on this link, there's a whole website of different International Co-op Day events and things that you could connect into. But I do want to show, let me stop sharing just for 1 minute. And I do want to show the video, just a short video about Co-ops Day 2025. Just give me 1 minute to find that.
Across the globe, cooperatives are building a better future, uniting people, transforming communities, and creating sustainable change. Cooperatives are different from traditional private-owned businesses. They're owned and operated by members, driven by shared values of self-help, self-responsibility, democracy, equality, equity, and solidarity. Cooperatives are key to achieving sustainable development. They align with global goals to end poverty, provide decent work, and protect the planet.
The International Year of Cooperatives is a recognition by the UN General Assembly of the contribution of cooperatives to building a future, building a better world for all. It is the opportunity to showcase good practices of cooperative enterprises, the spirit of solidarity and care for the community that prioritize people over profits. We can demonstrate a model of cooperation that solves global problems for the common good and motivate action to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals. During the International Year, we hope that countries will set up national committees to lead in planning, coordinating, stimulating activities of governments, cooperatives, and social partners who promote and support cooperatives. We hope that national and international business environment will be further improved to support cooperative enterprises. The good practices and lessons we will learn during the International Year will be leveraged to strengthen cooperatives and support inclusive development embodied in the 2030 Agenda in all countries and for years to come. Thank you.
Well, as you know, we are living in a world of social, economic, and environmental crisis, where achieving the Sustainable Development Goals is becoming a challenge and increasingly difficult. However, the recently concluded United Nations Summit of the Future recommitted to international cooperation to achieve a just, equal, and inclusive world. At the summit, countries pledged to invest in people to end poverty, promote universal health coverage, increase access to education and social protection, and improve opportunities for decent work. These commitments are consistent with the cooperative identity and principles. The Indian Farmers Fertilizer Cooperative, our conference host, is a good example of cooperatives building a better future. For over 50 years, the cooperative has helped boost agricultural productivity and lift millions of people out of poverty. The cooperative now offers microfinance, insurance products for farmers, skills development, food processing, and many other initiatives that invest in people. The United Nations, for its part, is committed to supporting cooperatives globally on this journey to help build a better world for them.
Creo que este ha sido un momento histórico en el escenario mundial para el movimiento cooperativo, un nuevo año internacional de las cooperativas declarado por Naciones Unidas, sobre la base de un modelo cooperativo que pretende transformar la sociedad con un modelo que es económico, que es social, que es cultural, que es ambiental, pero que pone por sobre todas las cosas a las personas en el centro de todos esos desafíos que tenemos como humanidad y que emprendemos con un gran compromiso desde lo local, entendiendo que las respuestas están a nivel local para desafíos que son globales para todos los periodos.
Dear cooperators, Namaskar. With great pride, we are launching the 2025 International Year of Cooperatives in New Delhi on November 25th. Over 3,000 cooperators and dignitaries have gathered here at the iconic Bharat Mandapam to celebrate the cooperative movement's commitment to social inclusion, economic resilience, and sustainable development. As President of ICA, Asia and the Pacific, I extend my deepest gratitude to the United Nations and supportive governments for proclaiming 2025 as the International Year of Cooperatives under the theme Cooperatives Build a Better World. I hope this recognition inspires governments to view cooperatives as vital partners in sustainable development, fostering supportive policies and environments where cooperatives can thrive.
Meu nome é José Alves de Souza Neto, sou presidente da Ásia Américas e é um prazer e uma honra poder dirigir a todas as senhoras e a todos os senhores. As cooperativas constroem um mundo melhor, porque desde o seu nascimento se preocupam com as pessoas, com as suas necessidades e procuram, através das suas ações, soluções coletivas para problemas individuais. Desta forma, as cooperativas são o principal motor da mudança social, porque ao transformarem a vida das pessoas, transformam também os territórios e as sociedades aonde estão inseridas.
My name is Tajuddin Oriyomi Ayola. I'm the president of ICA Africa and Nigeria. Mr. President, distinguished cooperative leaders, members of the press, ladies and gentlemen, with happiness and pride, we are all gathered here today to celebrate the declaration of 2025 as the International Year of Cooperatives. This declaration by UN is in recognition of the importance of cooperative as an agent of economic resilience, social equity, environmental stewardship, which places importance on people over profit. With the present day economic hardship, social disharmony, and climate changes, cooperatives stand out as an enterprise of hope for a better tomorrow.
Уважаеми кооператори, както днес, така и все по-често за бъдеще, кооперациите ще се изправят пред все по-голями предизвикателства, трудности и изпитания. Голяма част от тях дори и непознати. Радостното е, че се забелязва една цялостна тенденция, че всичките кооперации от света стават все по-устойчиви и все по-балансирани спрямо сложната заобикаляща ги икономическа и политическа среда. Казвам ги тези неща, защото те не са случайни. Кооперациите са тези, които са съхранили своите принципи и ценности в продължение на 180 години, които им гарантират и ги определят като най-демократичните структури и от гледна точка на управление, и от гледна точка на организация.
During the soft launch of the International Year of Cooperatives, held in New York in July 2024, we asked global leaders and experts, how do cooperatives build a better world?
Well, cooperatives are inclusive. Everyone's welcome. That's one of the cooperative principles, open membership. And it's an opportunity for people around the world to improve their economic lives.
I'm the president of the International Health Cooperative Organization, and then I think that the health cooperatives are the third way between the public and the private sector. And we are adapting and fitting in every country in the place we want to be. Because if we are in a European country, will be a complementary health system, but in many countries we are the NHS of that country, and we help the people to achieve the goal of universal health coverage all over in the SDG number 3, because it's our main purpose in this times.
When we look at the challenges that here in the US and across the globe on inequality, on climate, on digital transformation, and in fact, an attack on democratic institutions, cooperatives have the tools and the reputation and the know-how on how to address these challenges.
Cooperatives create lasting impact by prioritizing people, promoting fairness, and building resilient communities worldwide. We also asked, what are you looking forward to in this International Year of Cooperatives?
This is the second time the UN has decided to have an international year. We really need to use this opportunity and build momentum to create a more conducive environment for cooperative enterprises. And most important for me is cooperation among cooperatives. You have so many big cooperative businesses around the world, and yet so many struggling informal workers' co-ops, indigenous people's co-ops. They need to connect and they need to support each other.
I feel very much excited about next year being declared the International Year of Cooperative. We expect that it will catch the attention of our head of states, our government officials, the whole movements, and others in the society who did not know about cooperatives, at least to get now more exposed all the attention. We'll be focusing on the cooperative business model. We do also expect that ourselves will be able to double our efforts as the cooperative movement, in making sure that the impact is really felt at the ground, at the grassroots level.
I'm hoping that governments around the world, our political leaders, will recognize the tremendous contribution cooperatives have made to the global economy and promote cooperatives around the world.
Delhi is the capital of India, which has largest number of cooperatives globally. And in Delhi, in our country, cooperatives is there in diverse sectors. In fact, we say, if you have a cup of tea in India, half of the milk and 1/4 of the sugar is from cooperatives. So, cooperatives has led to the white and the green revolution in India. That is all the more reason to welcome cooperatives from across the globe in Delhi. The International Year of Cooperatives 2025 is a moment. It's a pivotal moment to not just celebrate cooperatives, but also for the cooperatives, which I mentioned earlier as well, to introspect, reflect, and reset.
The IYC brings new possibilities, fresh ideas, and greater collaboration to build a cooperative future. Join us in celebrating the International Year of Cooperatives by elevating our key message. Cooperatives build a better world. Together, we are creating a future rooted in equity, sustainability, and shared prosperity.
So I wanted to share that short video primarily because we're living in a country right now, we're in a moment in our country's history where we're seeing rollbacks like we've never seen before. We're seeing just the eradication of rights and liberties. And it can be very discouraging trying to do this work around co-op movement, right? And I think it's very important that we remember that we are part of a larger global community that's connected to the United Nations. And you think about, back during the time of El Hajj Malik al-Shabazz, Malcolm X, one of his primary things that he was focused on doing towards the end of his life was really connecting with the United Nations and, making a claim to the United Nations, in terms of the issues that were impacting and the wrongs that were happening to our communities here in the States. And so really remembering as Black cooperators that we are part of a larger global community. And so I just wanted to kind of check in with you all, those of you who are still here, to kind of get your feedback on that mindset as well.
I think it's helpful to have that perspective. Like, I think even just like been sitting thinking about just like what's comfortable, like a nonprofit structure or like a LLC or a for-profit structure kind of seem like the most like stability, but like so being afraid to take the leap towards a different entity because it's not that well known, but like having this research and having that perspective that it's a global um way forward, I think is very like, comforting.
Indeed, indeed. Any other thoughts or comments about that global perspective and the need to really have that type of global connection in the moment that we're in right now in the States?
I would say that I think that to be completely honest, I think it may be easier in some countries because they're not as we started off by saying, as capitalistic States is. And so, because I think that at the, like when we look at like the financial model of it, because I know that's one thing that Bread has, it's still, a business, right? And so when we look at the profits and making it financially feasible so that everyone can share in the profits, we still have to make sure that it's like viable businesses. And so we go in for like the mission and the values and the community, but we still have to make sure that it is a, viable business that can still support us and everyone and families and that type of thing. And sometimes when I see it from a global, it's more about it's not really about the money aspect. It's more of just like helping like the community and that type of thing. So kind of we have to kind of balance the two because US is just kind of a little bit different when it comes to that. But that's just my thoughts on that.
Indeed, indeed. Thank you so much for sharing that. Indeed. And while we're on the global kind of talk around cooperatives, I want to throw out another resource link. Um, I don't know if you all are familiar with Brother Omar. He's based up in New York. Let me see if I could find his. I thought I just had it up. I think I have so many links up right now. I think I have to put it in again. Okay, there it is. Omar Friella, and I'm gonna put his information in the chat and then actually share the link on the screen. So his organization is called Collective Diaspora, And when you go to the home page, again, I would encourage you to sign up so that you could be part of the newsletter. They look at, they are a global community of Black cooperatives. And so they are supporting Black cooperators from all over the world. Black cooperators and Black-led cooperatives. You can click on, they have a couple of videos that you can watch that kind of gives more detail about some of the work and then some of the cooperatives that they support. When you click here, let's see, let me move this out the way so I could click on projects. They have a Black Co-ops for Change webinar series. They have a global Black cooperative ecosystem mapping project. And so when we talked about earlier, even just mapping locally the projects that we are aware of, that's a definite important resource tool to have available to us. But then they also provide cooperative development consulting. They have a newsletter here. And so I definitely want to make sure that you all are connected. Were you all aware of this particular Omar in this particular global co-op, Black Co-ops for Change, collective diaspora, or is this a new resource for you?
A new resource.
Good, 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 good. And that's what today was all about, sharing resources. So again, I'm hopeful that the information that we're sharing and the discussion that we're having is truly, truly serving that purpose of connecting you to some additional resources and information to help you do the work of your co-op, but also connecting us so that we could be a resource to each other, not, even if it's just knowing about each other and, learning and studying together as part of the Black Co-op Study Circle or other opportunities that may arise. So I'm going to stop sharing here. And he also has a newsletter, so I'm hopeful that you all will sign up for that newsletter. Now, the National Association of Black Cooperators, they normally have seasonal gatherings. So they just had a summer gathering, but they are preparing for the fall gathering. And I would really, really, really encourage you all to be on the lookout. And for those of you who put your telephone numbers, or I gave you my email, you can email me and give me your telephone number, and I will follow up with a request on the WhatsApp link to have you all added so that you could be part of that conversation and know when the dates are for that National Black Cooperators Gathering, which will be happening in the fall. And normally that pulls together Black cooperators from all across the country. And it's just a rich gathering information, but it's a lot of internal building for NABC as well, because NABC is a newly organized organization. And so it's resource connection, but it's also building out an organization in terms of capacity and structure, and kind of getting in where you can fit in terms of what resources and support you want to share, if that makes sense. And then just want to encourage you to go to YouTube, Google Black co-ops and cooperatives, and there's all types of wonderful information that you can find. Some of the when we talk about historic,
Empower your
I
students to
definitely
be
want to
more
put
authentic and
this. I'm not going to
competitors with
show this particular video, but I am going to just kind of share my screen so you can see, and I'll put the link in the website in the chat box as well. But this is the Southern Consumers Cooperative. This is a short video that you can watch. And you'll find that, some of the, I think it's also another one is I want to say it's the Southern Farmers. Let me see if I can find it. Yes, it's the Federation of Southern Cooperatives. It's probably one of the oldest Black cooperatives in the country. And so I'm going to put this link in the, I'm not going to show this video, but, well, actually I am. It's only 1 minute. So
For nearly 6 decades, the Federation of Southern Cooperatives Land Assistance Fund has supported low-income Black owners, landowners, and cooperatives living in rural communities across the southern region with economic self-empowerment and social justice initiatives. Coming out of the civil rights movement, most African Americans living in rural communities were still poor, still underpaid, and still struggling to keep the land acquired by their forefathers. The solution: we decided to work together and become self-sufficient by forming cooperatives to save our way of life, earn a living, and have dignity. Our vision and mission are centered around 3 critical things: cooperative development, land retention, and advocacy. The Federation offers technical assistance in the form of education, training, and demonstrations because we understand self-empowerment builds up our communities and creates an economic path out of poverty. By lifting up thousands of family farmers in underserved communities, we are paving the way for a better and brighter future.
So I just wanted to show that short video just to kind of give them a shout out because, again, they're one of the oldest existing co-ops in the nation. And so just want to make sure that I'll put that link in there too, that you all get that as well. So I know I've been doing a lot of talking, doing a lot of sharing, and just want to thank you all for tuning in and also for sharing. And I just want to kind of close out. If we could close out in a way where you just kind of share what you got out of the dialogue today and what action you plan to take based on the information that was shared. So for me, I'm really thankful for the opportunity to have connected with all of you. And so one of the actions that I'm definitely going to do is I'm going to add you all to the BGJWC monthly email update. And also for those of you who sent me your telephone number in the chat or who plan to email me your telephone number, I will make the request on the National Association of Black Cooperators WhatsApp to have you all added. Anybody else?
Sure.
No, go ahead.
I think the resources were excellent, and I plan on just going forward and researching all of the information you gave me, and just make new network connections.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah, I agree. The resources were helpful. I was kind of multitasking throughout to go ahead and sign up for newsletters and registering for upcoming events, but just kind of continuing those conversations is my action item.
Awesome.
Yep. I echo what everyone has already said.
Thank you.
I think this was amazing. Like I learned so much. I'm excited to go through the different links and resources you provided. And oh, I put my LinkedIn in the chat if anybody likes to connect. Uh, and thank you so much.
Awesome. And thank you all. And this is a reminder, that each of us can do this. It's about us, sharing resources. And, I'm in no way an expert. I'm still learning as we go along, but this is something that we can do together and, to help each other along the way. And it's just going to allow us to be stronger together. So thank you all. It's been a pleasure. Hope you all have a terrific day.
Bye, everyone.
Take care.
Bye.